Well, howdy. Welcome here to the Double M Farm. I know. Those of you who follow the farm, for God knows why. It's been a long time since I've made a video of anything. And no, we're not working with the little Harbor Freight trencher today, which is why I haven't made a video in a long time. I'm not a content creator or whatever you call these people because I'm not entertaining. Lord knows I love content creators. Ants, Pants, Cajun Country Living, Cajun Clunkers. They are fantastic content creators because they're entertaining, and it doesn't matter what they're doing, you'll find yourself entertained. I don't do that. I'm not an entertaining person. But when I am doing something that I think someone would be interested in or would find interesting or helpful, I make a video. So I guess that means I've led a boring 8-9 months because I haven't made a video in about that long. I haven't done anything that I thought would be useful to anybody. But I thought this one may come in handy because there aren't that many videos out there doing what I'm doing. This is, as you saw in the title, the VersaTube brand of carport. And I will say right off bat, I won't make you watch a long video. So I'm going to do this in several parts. This is part one of putting up the VersaTube carport. So the first thing I'll say is I am very happy with the company VersaTube. They've been great to work with, and they've been in business well over 30 or 35 years at the time of this video. And after doing a lot of research, we decided to go with them because of the design and the strength and durability. The material is a little heavier than some of the other companies, and they're all good. I've got two more. You can see the barn with the red roof off in the distance. I've got one down there I put together behind those trees and made a workshop out of, completely enclosed it. Those are both 18 by 20s. This is a 24 wide, 20 long VersaTube carport. I apologize for shaking. I've been out here in this hot sun all day. So I'm shaking the camera because I don't have a tripod with me. And I just left out the boring stuff, but this will be phase one, part one. And 24 by 20, which means these base rails are 18 foot because you'll have an overhang off the front and off the back. And I'm building mine on, as you can see, a gravel pad, which they recommend a level surface, perfectly level surface, which makes everything squaring up a lot easier. And they also recommend with earth installation, those are 30-inch pins driven in the ground. And they recommend you dig a hole and pour concrete and put the pins in the concrete. And I wasn't about, this gravel pad's been here for over 2 years. I've been driving on it, and let me tell you, digging on it is no fun. So what I've done is I've squared it and leveled it up and put the pins in, but I'm going to come back with some mobile home anchors that'll go much deeper to get through this gravel and down into this hard Blue Ridge Mountain clay, and then run a turnbuckle to an eye bolt. I'll do that at each corner because I just don't trust those pins without the concrete being in this gravel, even though it's packed hard and it took something to drive those pins in. But I will be doing that. But that was step one. I did that yesterday. I took all day to make sure I had these two level to each other and square to each other. And I squared it up with this pad, the rocks there, because that's what you see from the entrance of the property, which means that side's not square because the gravel isn't square, but I don't care about the back side as long as that side is square with this side. So now that step's done. It's very simple. You won't have any trouble doing it. This one came in 3 sections. You had 2 long sections and 1 middle section. You see a joint there and a joint there. So I put those together. I had to dig in the gravel to get it to sit the way I wanted it to sit. So then the next step is putting the legs and rafters together and standing them up. Okay? The directions, and what you'll see 90% of the people on YouTube do, the directions say build them on the ground, using one as a template for the others. And see, I can show the picture. We'll demonstrate it better than I can demonstrate it with my mouth. There's the rails, which I've already done. And there. It says to lay it on a flat surface on the ground. Well, again, I live in the Blue Ridge Mountains. I don't have a flat place in my yard. But it says to lay one down, stake it there and there to keep it square, and put all the screws in it, and then stack the other 4 on top, using that one as a template, and screwing them all together, and then standing them up. A couple of key things: you want to make sure they're all turned the same direction. The dimples are different in the peak. You want to make sure you got them all turned the same direction, and that is very key. You also want to measure on those peaks from the outside in 17 1/8 and put a mark. That will help you line up your first sheet of tin when it comes that time. And I did that, but I did not build them on the ground. Here's the reason why, and many of you will run into the same situation. I'm building mine on the, as I said, on the existing gravel pad. The gravel pad is sloped from this end down towards the house. And I am not about to buy another $900 worth of gravel to have dumped on here on that end and spend a week or a day on the tractor getting it level. So we are building it with the slope. So when you do that, obviously if it's on, it is a 3-inch drop from this end to that end. Pulling a string with a line level, you've got a 3-inch drop. And at first I was going to put these on and just not put these posts as far down, bring them up to have it level. My wife didn't like the way that looked. She preferred them all the way down, all the way across. And so we backed off out there in the yard and looked at it, and we actually like the way it looks with just a 3-inch slope. It's not even that noticeable to the naked eye. What that does, of course, when we put the roof on, that means our water will drain off. So I kind of like that idea. But what it does is when you put these rafters on, everything's going to have a little natural lean that way because it's going downhill. Now, I'm exaggerating the lean. We're only talking a 1/4 to 1/2 inch lean, just gravity making them lean. And then also, we're not perfectly level on this pad here, but I did level these to each other. But because of the lean, you're also going to get a little bit of side-to-side lean. And there are all kind of tricks. When you go to put the tin on is when you actually square it and level it up. We'll get into that in part 2 of the video as we start putting the tin on, and we'll show you how we're leveling it up. Remember, I made those ink marks on the top of the peak. So those ink marks are in the exact same spot on each one of those. So if I put the tin up and line it up with the very first, I'll start on that end, on the low end side for the water drainage. And I'll line it up with that mark and have my overhang, and I'll screw it to that very first peak. Then I'll come to the next peak and I'll line, that ink mark up with the tin, and I'll adjust any side to side, and I'll screw that one, the tin to that one. Then it can't move, it's square now. And I come to the next one, and I do the same thing all the way to this end. Saying all of that to say this: I put these things together on the ground one at a time, stood them up, and I did have my neighbor came and helped me stand them up. I'm 72 years old, and my wife and I did all this work yesterday and today ourselves, but we did get our neighbor to come. He and his wife came to help us stand it up because it's 24 foot and it's heavy. But here's the kicker, the whole thing I'm getting to, that you may have already noticed. I have no screws in these things yet. They are just put together. And believe me, the weight of them, they're not going anywhere. There ain't no wind going to take them apart. But there are no screws at any of the joints where they went together. Why? Because the tin hasn't been delivered. When you order from the company, the roof, the actual frame of the building comes, and then about a week to 10 days later, the roofing material comes. When that roofing material comes, I'm going to put the first row of roofing material. It's actually two 10-foot sheets with a little 2-inch overlap in the middle. So you'll be actually 2 inches short of a 20-foot coverage, but that's beside the point. But when I put that one on, I will, as I just said, square each one of these up side to side and this way. And by not having the screws in, that allows me plenty of motion and movement to square it up because I'm on unlevel ground. That ground is sloping that way away from me. So I'm thinking, I started to go ahead and put the screws in, and my neighbor and I got to talking, and we both agreed that it would be easier to wait until I put that first row of roofing tin up there and get them all squared side that way, front to back and side to side. Square them, screw them down with the tin so that they can't go anywhere. They are now square. And I may have to hook a ratchet strap to one of them to pull it. If it's too far that way, I'll hook a ratchet strap to it and put a stop in the ground or the bumper of the truck and pull it to move it however much I need to, or this way or that way. Most cases I can just push it by hand, line it up with my marks, screw it down. You'll see all that on part 2 of the video, which will be coming up pretty quick. I'm not going to publish these until I got them all done, so there won't be a big gap between videos, but no video will be very long. That's my trying to do. So that's the thought process. Put them together, stand them up with no screws in them, put the first center row of roofing on to hold everything square, get everything like you want it, and then go back and put all your screws in the joints and then finish your roof. Because once you put the center one on, you pretty much got it. Then as far as the biggest adjustment will be the side to side. And that's what the sometimes the screws, having the screws in will make it so rigid, it makes it harder to adjust it side to side. So I'm just going to leave the screws out until I've got at least the first row of roofing tin on and secured, and the posts are all squared up that way. Then I will go back, put all the screws in, and then I can finish putting the roof on. And I've also got this one being 24 foot, comes with center supports that go across, and those are laying over there. And then those over there are gable ends that will go on this one and the other end, and there'll actually be a sheet of roofing-like material here coming down about 3 foot for a gable end on each end. But if I put those bracings on now, that will make it harder to move it side to side. And I want it to flex. I want to be able to move it side to side to get it squared up, because I'll mostly be doing that part by myself, and I think it'll be easier. And like I said, there's no room for it to go anywhere. It can't come apart. Those swags are about 4.5 inches inside each tube, so there's no way it can come apart, barring another hurricane. So that's the way we're putting our carport together from VersaTube. This has been phase 1. I hope I haven't completely confused you, but maybe it will make more sense. That looks pretty good. If you sight down that, I can't tell on the camera. It looks like those posts are lining up pretty good. But again, that'll all be adjusted with that first row of tin. I don't know what else to call it, tin, metal, roofing. So that's what we'll do, and I'm hoarse from the heat and sweating like a... So I'm going to end this one right here at the 14-minute mark, looks like. So that's part 1 of putting together a VersaTube 24x20 carport. And I appreciate you visiting us here at the Double M Farm, and I'll see you on part 2.